Greetings everyone, Nintember here. Hope you're having a fantastic day. So for this part of Nintember, I thought I'd do something a little bit different. I figured, you know what, I could do a Link to the Past, or to make things a bit more interesting for you, do a randomizer for a Link to the Past. Now, what that does is that shuffles everything around, so things aren't where you quite expect them to be. Really puts your gaming knowledge to the test. So I've been doing them for about a couple of years now, so this makes A Link to the Past one of my most played games in recent time. And what I will say with this recording is there'll be a little bit of disconnect because I actually recorded all of the footage basically in a single hit over a period of 2 days, 2 or 3 days it might have been, just like short stints, just like boom, get that gameplay footage recorded. So there'll be some disconnect between the intros and outros and the footage, so I might end up repeating myself a little bit because I haven't really planned what I was going to say during these intros or what I was going to say during the videos. So yeah, there'll be some minor repetition here or there, but it should be fine, it says. But with that all said and done, Link to the Past randomized. Shall we begin? So what we have here, as I kind of explained it in the intro, we have the Legend of Zelda: A Link Randomizer. What the randomizer does is it takes every single chest in the game, every single location where there is an item, whether it's a chest or something that the bosses drop at the end of a fight, it shuffles that all around. So for example, Link's house. When you go to Link's house and you open up the chest, it contains the lamp, usually. But with the randomizer, things aren't exactly where you think they're going to be. Now this leads to interesting pathing choices later down the line. We will get to that in a minute, and as I'm going through it, I'll sort of walk you through basically what it means to have a certain item. Now, about the name, typically when me and my friends do, we sometimes do what's referred to as a multi-world, where my items might be in my friend's game, etc., and it's all kinds of chaos. Now, I tend to play with the name Lonk. Now, this comes back from when I used to play Triforce Heroes. I was Lonk. I believe my little brother was Link. And we also got a Lonk. So that was probably the best experience I ever had with Triforce Heroes, in all honesty. It was an alright game, but not fantastic. And obviously, salt. These things make you salty, particularly when you spend ages trying to get to a certain item, get to a certain chest or a certain location, which you will hope will have a progression item, and it doesn't. So maybe we'll get salty with it. I do not know. We will find out. So at the moment, the world set is what is referred to as open. This means that the intro for A Link to the Past, where you would rescue Zelda out of her cell in the Hyrule Castle, that's already happened. So we've but the Hyrule dungeon has not been cleared, so there's items we can still get from there. Let's start at Lonk's house. Now, admittedly, I just need to get accustomed to buttons on the controller that I'm not bombs. Ooh. It's not quite can fit it. The button mapping is not quite right. I mean, I could sort it out, but now I'm grown up. I can live with some wonky button choices. The first thing we're going to do is I'm going to kill a guard, because there's a mechanic that I didn't really know too much about, and there'll be people who will probably, oh yeah, I know about that. It's referred to as the tree pull. Now there are certain items, certain trees that you can grab and pull, and depending on the amount of enemies you've killed before taking damage, they will have a different set of rewards. Now there was what referred to as tree pull 1. I killed 1 enemy before taking damage, and I got rupees out of it. Hey, I got the sword. That's nice. Now, that's the other thing. Sometimes in these, swords are not where they normally are. Now, I believe for this run, swords are set to their vanilla locations. So unless I really want to get the Master Sword, which I kind of don't, I don't really want to get the Master Sword. I really can't be bothered. That. Though there might be a reason. We will find out. Things will become apparent very quickly. Oh, come on. So, yeah, because sometimes you'll have the swords in random locations. So because the swords are set to vanilla, we will get one from Uncle, we'll get one from the Master Sword Pedestal, we'll get one from the Blacksmiths, and also from the Pyramid Fairy. Again, I will probably skip out on the Master Sword just because that will require me doing 3 extra dungeons, well, clearing 3 extra dungeons that, quite frankly, I don't want to clear. I'm not doing a full run of this. By that I mean it is not a I have to clear all the dungeons to win. I just have to clear a certain number of them, 50 rupees, which will gain me access, which will make Ganon vulnerable. Ganon is already available to me, in the sense that if I get to the Dark World and to the Pyramid, there will be a hole there waiting for me to jump in so I can go fight Ganon. Now, I don't know what the crystal amount is for what I need to fight Ganon, so, you know, that's something we'll discover as we go. Now, A Link to the Past, probably, you know, since I started doing randomizers of this, has probably been my most played Zelda game. Prior to that, it would have been, hey, my shield, would have probably been Ocarina of Time. I have bought that game 3 times. Strictly speaking, the second time I didn't buy it. It was we got the special edition Wind Waker, which came with the disc that had Ocarina of Time, Master Quest, and Majora's Mask on it. Unfortunately, the Majora's Mask emulation was on that was a bit naff and it kept crashing, which is really disappointing because it's Majora's Mask is a great game, and at some point I will do a randomizer of that because I'm quite familiar with that one. What we'll do is, now that I've kind of gotten to the end here, we're going to save and quit. What this will allow us to do is I can restart and we'll go to Sanctuary. Let's say Zelda's already here because she wasn't in the dungeon. And we got to compass the Skull Woods. So that's another thing. Dungeon items, so your maps, your compasses, and I don't know about keys yet. Keys is going to be a bit of a big one. If keys are shuffled, we're going for a trek. It's a mode referred to as, it's commonly referred to as key sanity, because the keys are shuffled around and it drives you insane, quite frankly. I'm not that good at key sanity because I don't always remember all of the key placements. Bushcrap, what have you got for me? Bombs, nice. Oh, you absolute sod. I'm not. Oh, there we go. Now, bombs are useful, particularly early game, because there's a lot of places you can go check to get a decent amount of items. And what do we? Okay, red rupee, that's good. So the reason why I say that's good is because that item there, the only way you can get that is by defeating Ganon in Hyrule Castle, which typically you do once you get the Master Sword, and before you can start exploring the Dark World proper. The reason why that's annoying, well, why it's important that that is where it is because climbing up Hyrule Tower is just annoying. It's time consuming, and if you don't have to do it in a randomizer, don't do it. It's not worth it. Sometimes they force you. And when they force you to do it, my word, is that annoying. So we've got plenty of rupees. This is good, because there are certain items that you can only get from buying from certain locations. Specifically, the Bottle Merchant in Kakariko and King Zora. We also need rupees to get into the Dark Palace. Dark Palace, or Palace of Darkness, which is the first dungeon of the Dark World. So now that now in Kakariko we have bombs, let's get our first couple of treasure hoards. Depending on how lucky we are, how lucky the seed is for this, we might get like some really good items. So let's have a look. Oh, we've got the map for East Palace. Rupees. Aina Samaria, that's an interesting one. And brilliant, but Kana Samaria's an odd one. Hammer! Ooh. But the nice thing about hammer is it's a decent weapon actually. It does a very high amount of damage, and having an early game can be really good in certain areas. There is actually a setting where you can play through the whole of Link to the Past without a sword. This relies on you getting the hammer to really do the bulk of your damage. Okay, green goo. Ah, single arrow. So, Palace. The single arrow is commonly referred to as the validation arrow. Ooh, magic powder. You can go to magic bat now. I'll explain that in a second. But first of all, validation arrow. Validation arrow is a chest that contains a single arrow. Now this chest is typically located at the top of Ganon's tower. Oh, I just got scammed. Typically you pay the bottle merchant 100 rupees for a bottle. I just bought 20 rupees for 100 rupees. I've been scammed. Let's just see if I can... Hey! I forced the chicken to clip through the wall. Ooh, more money. Anyway, validation arrow. It's typically located at the top of Ganon's towers. I think it's the last chest you have access to. It's a single arrow. The whole reason why it exists is because it gives you a hookshot target to get across a gap. It's referred to as a validation arrow because the joke is that if you manage to get that bow, yes. If you manage to get validation arrow, that means your run is officially valid. you've Moon Pearl. I can't quite get to the Dark World yet. So I'm just because typically when people do this, they'll sometimes have a tracker to keep track of what items they've got, where they need, what they can then go on to do. I tend to do this without a tracker. I tend to rely on my memory of the game, having played through it so many times. Pop. Oh. Hey, magic. So with the magic powder, you can throw some pot over this cauldron, and magic bat will usually give you half magic. But he's given me money. I've basically got enough money to do everything I need to in run. Things are getting into the Palace of Darkness. I've already paid the scam merchant. The other thing that we can do, yeah, I've done all. I'm pretty sure I've done everything I need to in Kakariko time being. So we can check in library. Now, typically you would need the Pegasus boots for this item. That's hookshot. So locating Pegasus boots is going to be very important. We need hookshot because hookshot gives us access to a lot of areas, particularly in the Dark World. It's also used for beating one of the Dark World bosses. Hit and do race. Map. Yeah, 8 seconds. Yeah, have this trash. This map is trash. Let's have a quick look. So we know Green Pendant is over at. Green Pendant is there. Now the question is, do I want to spend the time getting Green Pendant? Because Green Pendant actually gives you an item later down the line. You return it to Hasrala and he'll be like, hey, you got the Green Pendant. You got the Green Pendant. It's this thing. In the normal game, he gives you the Pegasus boots. Well, we will see if we need to. We're in a pretty good starting position because I have some very important items. Hammer, very useful. Moon Pearl is one of the big ones. What the Moon Pearl does is, for those of you who don't know, is when you go into the Dark World, you turn into what's called Bunny Link. It's basically your Dark World alter ego. Bunny Link can't do anything. But with the Moon Pearl, it allows you to remain in your Link form when you enter the Dark World. As a Bunny Link can't do anything. So you need to use the Moon Pearl in order to actually just get around the Dark World. The other item that we need is the Magic Mirror. But right now that's not so important. Magic Mirror is useful because it allows you to teleport yourself from the Dark World back to the Light World and leave a sort of teleporter where you did it. I have a bow. That's good. Because the bow is actually probably the most important item in the entire run. Because typically, in order to defeat Ganon, you need the bow and you need silver arrows. Now I have the bow. That's good. Now you can find the silver arrows. Now you can defeat Ganon without the silvers. I am not that good at this game to achieve that. Also, yeah, this typically what they want you to do is either use the bow or possibly bombs to throw across there to defeat the mini Moldorms, but you can actually just walk to the bottom there. There's enough clearance. Boomerang. A map to the woods. Hey, magic boomerang! And money. Yeah. Ah, oh, go away. What I might do is I might try to do something to save some time. Just because there are certain checks that are a little bit annoying. And I can use my limited knowledge of some minor glitches. Yeah, no. I haven't like a penguin one. What penguins are blue? Oh dear. Oh, more arrows. Okay. Let's glitch up in this place. Because I kind of don't really want to make the trick again. Well, I want to root it in. I want to root in something, but I'm missing an item. I'm missing Zora's flippers, which allows you to swim. But there's a way to trick the game into thinking you already have the flip. And if you jump off, there we go. And if you hit a screen transition at the same time that you transfer between screens, the game assumes you have flippers, because the only way for you to make that transition is if you have flippers. Now this allows us to do something which is referred to as fake flippers. Now typically people do that a different way. I mean, the way I do it is not the typical manner that people do. So what we can do is we can come under the bridge here, bottle guy. Hobo. Which hobo? Oh no. So there is a certain point that we need to hit this at. Allow us to hit the screen transition. And I'm not very good at this part. There we go. We hit that screen transition, and again. Oh. I've never had that happen before. Oh no! Oh no! Oh, no, this is fine. This is fine. Can I? Yes, I can. No, I really want to... Yeah, no, let's not. Let's not. It's... I broke the game. I'm sorry, game. Oh, I have never seen that. So, you know, I didn't want to come here, did I? We'll take the long way around, it's fine. So, places to check next. Just because of what item availability we don't have any means to pick up the heavy rocks. Can't get to Zora's domain. Now, admittedly, that's what I was trying to do. I was going to route in Zora's domain into my fake flippers, but I caused the game to freak out. Which is a bit of a whoops. So, you know, maybe going forward I won't use them again, just accidentally probably break the game. Okay, so coming over here, we will meet Sahasrara. The useful thing about Sahasrara is he has 3 items also in his back row. Bombs, heart, glove. The glove is actually what I was looking for. That's what I was hoping. I was kind of banking on getting glove. But what we will do, just whilst we're in this area, I'm gonna dip into Eastern Palace here. I need to check something. Before we because effectively, unless I can find a lamp, we are basically done with the light world. I think one more place I can check. So, oh, take my eyes off the screen for a second and pow. Was one of the other things that might be shuffled, which would be incredibly problematic, is big keys. Now, big keys are important for 2 things. They allow you to open a dungeon's big chest, which typically houses the dungeon's the dungeon's items. So, for example, Eastern Palace here, that would be where you get your bow. It also allows you access to the boss room. And yeah, if big keys are okay, compass the Dark Palace, that's not good. No good for me. Now I could use some of my knowledge of the map. Overcome one of its challenges. And that's the dark room. Typically, when you enter a dark room, what you require is you require the lamp to navigate dark room. Now I know. Okay, big keys are tied to the dungeons. That's good. It means that I can open a big chest and I should have access to the boss room. Need a bow to get past the red Igor. I have the bow, which is usually one of the requirements to actually clear this dungeon. Bow. Map. Swam. So I've got plenty of hearts, so I should be able to pull this off. I'm going to navigate the dark rooms. As you can see, typically I can't see what's going on in there. I'm basically using my incredibly sad knowledge of this game. You never, you know, that is actually probably the perfect navigation I've ever done of that dark room. Usually I kind of stumble a bit around the door, and sometimes with the key. So, you know, I'm impressed with myself. Just kill everything here. I also gain access to that pot. Oop. Map. There's been a lot of maps in this area. Now typically, because you would need the lamp, if you were doing this with a tracker, it would tell you that actually you're breaking logic. You know, there is a logical path that you should be taking and you're going against the logic. Now this is where I'm going a little bit unstuck. Because fighting enemies in the darkness is never fun. Come on. Igor in there he is. Pretty sure it's not the Igor that drops the key. Usually it's the one of those. No, it is the Igor. Okay. There we go. Oh, there we go. Whew. Usually, yeah, the Igor has the key, and it's an absolute nightmare to try and get. Wait. But thankfully, I didn't do that too badly that time. Okay. Switch, and we'll carry on going. So yeah, typically, if you were using a tracker, it would tell you you could do this if you know what you're doing, or you're familiar with certain glitches. But typically, the way these randomizers work is that there's an internal logic, and you know that you can pass through this without using any glitches. Now, it is also completely messed up this room. There we go. There are modes where it expects you to know some basic glitches or some really advanced glitches. I tend to avoid any of those because I know some very basic. You know, I know fake flippers. I know a little bit of some of the other ones like fake powder. I'm familiar with, but I've never really used. So let's just that. There we go. Drops a heart container. That's not the worst thing in the world because we need heart containers. Just because if we're tanky, bro. Yeah, so far so good. We're doing alright. We've got some key items really going to help us on our adventure. And we'll go see what Sahasrara has. I mean, it'd be funny if he has Pegasus boots. I can pop over to CAC and get my goods. Oh, you absolute sod. So, what we're going to do next, I'm not going to go see Zora. Even though I have the gloves that will give me access to Zora. Actually, two things that I want to do. And the first one is go to the Dark World. We have access to it now. Now that I have hammer and gloves and moon pearl. Typically, those are the 3 items that you need in any run to get yourself into the Dark World. You could get yourself into the Dark World via Death Mountain, but that requires a whole lot of other stuff. Okay, so there's a red crystal in Skull Woods. That's good. So for people who aren't familiar with A Link to the Past, the game is set in two worlds: the light world and the dark world. You start, for the first like quarter of the game, you start in the light world. You're going on a quest to obtain the Master Sword, and yeah, Pegasus boots, nice. And once you get the Master Sword, you defeat the Wizard Agadim, but he transports you to the Dark World, which is a world that's been taken over by Ganon. So, right here, we have what is commonly referred to as Hype Cave. The reason why it's called Hype Cave is because when you get to the Dark World, this is the first place you want to hit up. Because it has this guy here as a check, that's one item, and these 4 chests. And for me, Hype Cave was relatively hype, because I got Flute! Now, Flute is also a very important item. But we got Pegasus Boots and Flute. I would say Hype Cave was incredibly hype. So yeah, the other thing I'm going to check before I go and deal with any other big checks is because this mode is set for us to beat Ganon without having to go up Ganon's tower. I can check the requirements for making Ganon vulnerable. This is important, very important. Because it gives you an idea of how long this is going to take. I've done some of these where I've done sub. Oh, I need all 7 crystals. That's not fun. Oh no. Okay. All 7 crystals. And I know that a crystal is in... I know there's a crystal in Ice Palace. Ice Palace is probably my least favourite dungeon. There are skips and all kinds of things you can do to make it less of a nightmare, but I'm not that good at that stuff. So, Ice Palace is always a chore. In fact, when I first played this game as a kid, I actually got stuck at Ice Palace. I couldn't beat it. I got to near the end of it and it was just a puzzle I just couldn't figure out. I mean, looking back at it, it was actually relatively easy. And can't remember how old I was a kid. Oh, but let's see what the angry catfish has for us. $20 rupees. Brilliant. Fantastic. I think what we'll do is we will save and quit. No. Go back. I'll go via Sanctuary. There'll be a couple of things I'll do. Yeah, that'll be the next thing to do. So we'll get on with that very shortly. Oh, okay. We've managed to get ourselves to the Dark World. That is a major point because you need the Moon Pearl, and you also need your access items. Now, whether this be using the hammer and gloves, or there's a couple of other methods to get into it, but typically, hammer and gloves are your 2 main items that you get into the Dark World. And with that, it opens up the rest of the game. Being stuck in the Light World for hours on end is a miserable experience, and I have done it before where I've been stuck there. So we're doing quite well. We're sort of on, in my opinion, providing we have a good bit of luck on placement of our crystals and some of our other key items, we are on course to beating it within less than 2 hours, which would be good. I mean, it's I would say that would make it a personal best if I can hit that sub 2 hour mark. So yeah, hopefully get there. But with all that said and done, if you've enjoyed this and would like to see more, then please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, leave a comment, and I will see you in the next part. Bye for now.